Have you ever been to a picnic? That wonderful feeling of spreading out a blanket on the grass, sharing food with friends and family, and enjoying the great outdoors. Jesus and his friends, his closest companions, also cherished moments of peace and quiet. They wanted a quiet day, a chance to escape the crowds and the constant demands on their time. So, seeking solace and tranquility, they decided to sail to a peaceful place, a secluded spot across the lake where they could rest and recharge. The gentle rocking of the boat and the calming presence of the water promised a much-needed respite. But word of Jesus' travels spread quickly. People saw them leave, recognizing the boat and the familiar figures of Jesus and his disciples. Driven by a deep longing to hear his teachings and experience his healing touch, they hurried around the lake, eager to be near Jesus. Their anticipation grew with each step, their hearts filled with hope and expectation. When Jesus stepped out of the boat onto the shore, he was met with a sight that both surprised and moved him. He saw a huge crowd, a multitude of people stretching as far as the eye could see. Families, children, all gathered together, their faces turned towards him with anticipation, everyone waiting for him, eager to hear his words and receive his blessing. They had come from far and wide, driven by a thirst for something more. Their hearts were hungry for his words, for the wisdom and comfort that only he could provide. They yearned to understand the mysteries of life and find solace in his teachings. So, setting aside his own need for rest, he welcomed them with love, his heart overflowing with compassion for their needs. He saw their eagerness, their vulnerability, and their deep desire for connection. Instead of resting, instead of seeking the quiet he had longed for, Jesus sat with them on the hillside, finding joy in their presence and purpose in their need. He made himself available to them, offering his time and attention without reservation, and began to teach, sharing stories and parables that illuminated the path to a better life. He spoke with passion and conviction, his words resonating deeply within their souls. He told stories about God's love, a love that was unconditional, unwavering, and available to all. A love that never runs out, a love that is always there to comfort, to guide, and to sustain. He painted vivid pictures with his words, bringing the kingdom of God to life in their hearts. The people listened, their eyes fixed on Jesus, soaking in every word, hanging onto each syllable as if it were a precious gem. They were captivated by his message, their minds and hearts open to receive his wisdom. Forgetting everything else, all their worries and concerns fading into the background as they became completely absorbed in his teachings. The world outside seemed to disappear, leaving only Jesus and his words. The day passed quickly, the hours slipping away unnoticed as Jesus continued to share his message of hope and love. The sky turning pink, a gentle blush spreading across the horizon, and orange, painting the clouds with vibrant hues as the sun began its descent. It felt like a giant family picnic, a gathering of loved ones sharing stories and laughter under the open sky. But the food was Jesus' words, nourishing their souls and filling their hearts with joy. They had come seeking physical healing, but they found something even more profound: spiritual nourishment. Their hearts were full, overflowing with gratitude and a renewed sense of purpose. They felt connected to something larger than themselves, a sense of belonging and community. But soon their tummies began to rumble, a gentle reminder that physical needs still remained. The day's teachings had been so captivating that they had forgotten all about their hunger. But now their bodies were starting to crave sustenance. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the hillside, signaling the end of the day. And everyone was getting very hungry, their stomachs growling in unison. The initial contentment from Jesus' teachings was now being overshadowed by the growing pangs of hunger. The peaceful day had turned into a very big picnic, a massive outdoor gathering with thousands of attendees. With a big problem: how would they feed such a vast crowd in the middle of nowhere? What would they eat? Where would they find enough food to satisfy so many hungry people? The question hung in the air, a challenge that seemed impossible to overcome. As evening came, Jesus' friends grew worried. They saw tired families and hungry children. "Jesus, it's late," they whispered. "There's no food or shops here. Should we send everyone away to find dinner?" Feeding thousands seemed impossible. The disciples only saw the problem: empty hands and empty stomachs. But Jesus wasn't worried. He saw an opportunity to show God's love. He turned to Philip and asked, "Where can we buy bread for all these people?" Philip did the math and shook his head. Even months of work wouldn't buy enough for everyone to have a bite. The disciples saw only what was missing: But Jesus was about to show them that with him there is always enough. The crowd saw a problem. Jesus saw a chance for a miracle. Something amazing was about to happen. The sun beat down on the crowd, a sea of faces hungry not just for food, but for hope. The disciples, overwhelmed by the sheer number of people, began to panic. How could they possibly feed everyone? Their eyes darted around, searching for a solution, a way out of this impossible situation. But Jesus, ever calm and composed, offered a different approach. He didn't succumb to the pressure, didn't let the enormity of the task paralyze him. Jesus didn't scold his friends for their worry, didn't dismiss their concerns. Instead, with a gentle and reassuring tone, he simply asked, "What do we have?" It was a question that cut through the anxiety, a question that shifted the focus from the problem to the potential. Instead of focusing on what was missing, on the vast emptiness of their resources, he wanted them to see what was right there, to acknowledge the resources, however small, that they already possessed. He wanted them to understand that even in the face of overwhelming odds, there was always something to work with. After a moment of hesitant silence, Andrew spoke up, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "There's a boy here with 5 small loaves," he offered, almost apologetically, "and 2 fish." He presented the meager offering, knowing it seemed utterly inadequate. It was just a little lunch, a child's simple meal, packed with love and care. Barely enough for one child, a mere morsel in the face of such immense hunger. "But what is that for so many?" Andrew wondered aloud, his face etched with doubt. The question hung in the air, heavy with the weight of impossibility. The disciples saw a tiny snack, a pathetic offering against the backdrop of a desperate need, and a huge crowd, thousands upon thousands of hungry people, their hopes pinned on a miracle. But Jesus saw possibility where they saw only lack. He possessed a vision that transcended the limitations of the physical world. He saw a boy willing to share his meager meal, a selfless act of generosity that held the key to unlocking something extraordinary. And he saw the start of a miracle, a testament to the power of faith, generosity, and the boundless love of God. In Jesus' hands, even a little is more than enough. He had the power to transform the ordinary into the extraordinary, to multiply the smallest offering into an abundance that could feed the multitude. "Tell everyone to sit down on the grass," Jesus said, his voice calm and authoritative. He knew what he was about to do, and he wanted everyone to be ready to witness the power of God. The crowd settled, a sea of faces turning towards Jesus, their eyes filled with a mixture of hope and anticipation, waiting to see what Jesus would do, to witness the miracle that they so desperately needed. The disciples gathered the small lunch, their hands trembling slightly as they held the humble offering. Unsure but hopeful, placing their trust in the man who had always shown them the impossible was possible. Jesus was about to show them, and the entire crowd, that God's love multiplies what we give, that even the smallest act of kindness can have a profound impact. The miracle was about to begin, a moment that would forever be etched in their memories. Sometimes a little bit is all God needs to unleash his power and transform the world. As the day stretched on and the sun began its descent, the disciples recognized a growing need among the vast crowd. They understood that these people, who had come to hear Jesus' teachings, were now far from home and growing hungry. The disciples, ever mindful of the people's well-being, asked everyone to sit in groups on the grass, creating a sense of community and order, like families at a feast. It was a scene of organized fellowship, a temporary village arising on the green hillside. The hillside was covered with people, a sea of faces turned towards their teacher, their anticipation palpable in the air. They had come seeking wisdom and guidance, and now they waited patiently, trusting in what was to come, all watching Jesus. Their eyes were fixed on him, their hearts open to his message. They were ready to receive whatever he had to offer, both spiritually and physically. In the midst of this multitude, a young boy, moved by compassion and faith, stepped forward. He offered his whole lunch, a humble offering from a generous heart. He didn't hesitate, didn't hold back, but freely gave what little he possessed. 5 loaves, simple and plain, the staple food of the common people, representing sustenance and life, and 2 fish, small and perhaps dried, a modest addition to the bread, providing a bit of protein and flavor. He presented this meager meal to Jesus, a gesture of pure and innocent generosity. It was an act of selfless giving, a willingness to share everything he had. It looked so small, a tiny portion compared to the vast need of the crowd, seemingly insignificant in the face of such widespread hunger. But he trusted Jesus with everything he had, believing that even this small offering could make a difference. His faith was unwavering, his heart full of hope. Some people might have doubted, questioning how such a small amount could possibly feed so many, their minds struggling to comprehend the potential for a miracle. But they waited and watched, their curiosity piqued, their anticipation building. They were about to witness something extraordinary, something that would challenge their understanding of what was possible. Faith was being tested, the faith of the boy, the faith of the disciples, the faith of the entire crowd. Would they believe in the power of Jesus to perform a miracle? The disciples, the crowd, and the boy all had to trust, to believe in the impossible. Their collective faith was about to be rewarded in a way they could never have imagined. Jesus was about to show, to demonstrate the boundless power of God, to reveal that even the smallest offering, when given with love and trust, can be transformed into something miraculous. That what matters is not how much you have, the quantity of your possessions, but the sincerity of your heart and the willingness to share what you have with others. But what you give to God, the love and faith you offer, the willingness to be a vessel for His grace. It's about the intention behind the gift, the spirit in which it is given. In God's hands, held with love and care, blessed and multiplied beyond measure. A little bit can become something big. A small act of kindness can have a profound impact. A humble offering can feed a multitude. The crowd waited, their hunger growing, their eyes fixed on Jesus, their hearts filled with anticipation. Hungry and hopeful, trusting that their needs would be met, believing that something extraordinary was about to happen. The disciples stood ready, prepared to serve, eager to assist in whatever way they could, holding the small lunch, the symbol of hope and faith, the humble offering that was about to be transformed. The moment was filled with expectation, a pregnant pause before the miracle. The air crackled with anticipation, the crowd holding its breath. Jesus was about to turn a small gift into a great blessing, a testament to the power of faith and generosity. He was about to show that even the smallest act of kindness can have a profound and lasting impact. Everyone was about to witness a miracle, a demonstration of God's boundless love and provision. With the loaves and fish in his hands, Jesus paused. He looked up to heaven and prayed, "Thank you." He thanked God for the small meal, not wishing for more, but grateful for what they had. Jesus showed everyone that everything is a gift from God. Gratitude opens our eyes to God's goodness. After giving thanks, Jesus blessed the food. God's power filled that little lunch, ready for a miracle. Then Jesus broke the bread and fish, handing pieces to his disciples. Their empty hands were now full. Jesus trusted them to share what he had blessed. The disciples became part of the miracle. Their job was simple: take what Jesus gave and share it. The miracle was in motion. God's more than enough was about to be seen. The disciples began passing out the bread and fish. Each time someone took a piece, there was still more in the basket. The food never ran out. Everyone ate until they were full. Children, parents, grandparents. It was a joyful feast on the hillside. The simple meal tasted like the best thing ever, filled with Jesus' love. The miracle wasn't just about food. It was about God's endless love. God's love, like the bread and fish, never runs out. Jesus filled their tummies and their hearts. He showed them that he is the bread of life, the one who truly satisfies. The crowd experienced God's generosity firsthand. The disciples saw that with Jesus there is always enough. The miracle was complete, but there was still more to come. When everyone was full, Jesus told his disciples, "Gather the leftovers." The disciples were surprised. How could there be any food left? They collected the pieces and filled 12 baskets. There was more food left over than they had started with. The 12 baskets were proof of God's overflowing generosity. Jesus wanted his friends to see, God doesn't just give enough, he gives more than enough. When we give what we have to Jesus, he multiplies it. The miracle was not just about feeding people, but about showing God's abundant love. The disciples would never forget those baskets. It was a lesson in trust and gratitude. God's blessings overflow when we trust him. The crowd saw the evidence of the miracle all around them. God's love is always more than enough. What's the secret message in this story? Bring what you have to Jesus, even if it feels small. The little boy shared his lunch, and Jesus turned it into a feast. Jesus cares about our needs. He sees us and loves us. He is the good shepherd who takes care of his people. Most importantly, Jesus is the bread of life. He fills the deepest hunger in our hearts with love and forgiveness. Welcoming Jesus brings true fullness. This story teaches us to be grateful and to trust Jesus, even when we don't understand. The disciples, the crowd, and the boy all had to trust. When we trust Jesus, He turns our little bit into something wonderful. Gratitude and trust open the door to God's miracles. Jesus' love is always more than enough. This story happened long ago, but its promise is for us today. The same Jesus who fed the crowd is with us now. He still takes our small gifts and multiplies them. What's in your hands today? A kind word, a prayer, a small act of love? Give it to Jesus. He can use it for something wonderful. Be a sharer, a helper, and have a grateful heart. Remember the 12 baskets. God's blessings overflow. Trust Him, even when things seem impossible. God's love is always more than enough. Let's keep discovering the wonders of God's love together. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring videos.